story tonight is the announcement about the world's cheapest internet-enabled phone. Now it seems it's almost here. Reliance Jio has announced the launch of the Jio Bharat phone. It comes with a price tag of 999 rupees. The beta trial for the first 1 million Jio Bharat phones is going to begin this Friday, July the 7th, so not far away from now. Jio has also said that the company's target is to provide the internet-enabled Jio Bharat phones to nearly 250 million people in India who are still using only the 2G-enabled feature phones. How is this likely to be a game changer? Let's discuss this. Mahesh Uppal, Director of ComFirst, joining us. Mr. Uppal, you've tracked the telecom industry for so many years, and now this big announcement, if you can put that in perspective for us, sir. We're talking about an internet-enabled phone from Jio. It's called Jio Bharat. It's going to cost 999 rupees, and the press release we've been looking at calls it the lowest entry price for an internet-enabled phone. And also that those buying the handset are going to be eligible for 30% cheaper monthly plans and 7 times more data compared to feature phone offerings of other operators. How much of a game changer do you expect this product to be for India's telecom industry, Mr. Uppal?
I think this could be a significant game changer because affordability of smartphones has been recognized as an important barrier for people to use data services, internet access, etc. It is, of course, true that we don't have all the details about the Jio Bharat phone, but it is fair to say that the price and the goodies that come with it, the bundle that comes with it, is certainly attractive. And therefore, it will actually make a difference to a lot of people who are daunted by the price of smartphones. However, we must be clear that the reasons why people don't use data services include, but are not include price, but price is not the only factor. As you know, internet access requires a certain level of digital literacy, a certain level of familiarity, certain sense of relevance of internet.
Yes.
So if you are somebody in a rural area, you may not have the pull that somebody like you and me feel in an urban area.
Sure.
So we must be cautious, particularly cautious also about the fact that we are not fully aware of the details.
So Mr. Uppal, you mentioned not having the full details. What more are you expecting out of this entire offering from Jio?
Well, one is that it's very interesting that it's being called a 4G internet phone. I'm a bit intrigued why it's not being called a smartphone.
Correct.
And are there some important differences? Are there some features that smartphones have which this phone doesn't? Similarly, given that the enjoyment of data services, internet access, depends to a large extent on the size of the screen and the quality of that display. And clearly, both those two things have a lot to do with pricing. And so we don't know how much of a trade-off there is in this price, whether this is a tiny 2G size screen or a larger one. Is it something that will enable anything beyond WhatsApp calls or WhatsApp messaging? We don't know. For example, how convenient would it be to browse on this? All those things are things that we would like to know. And the news, as you know, is hot off the press, so we don't have all the details. But given the points that I made earlier, the fact that affordability is an issue, yes, it will make a difference.
Well, what we do know right now, Mr. Uppal, is that there is a beta trial of the first 10 lakh Jio Bharat phones. It begins in a few days from now. On the technical front, you did mention that it could have, at that price point, certain limitations. As far as infrastructure goes, of late we've suffered worsening connectivity. Do you think this kind of offering is going to make things better for people in rural areas? Because like they are saying, they're trying to address these 250 million people who've been stuck on 2G. What are the glitches infrastructurally that you would expect with an offering like this?
Yes, I think we kind of briefly alluded to them. You're absolutely right that people who are daunted by the price of smartphones will certainly find a pull. But people who are daunted by the rest of the internet, in other words, whether it is relevant to them, whether they find it, content relevant to them, whether they have the literacy, the knowledge that they need to access the various tools on internet, etc. What broadly goes under the name of digital literacy, right, is something that clearly is an issue, and those who by the lack of such literacy will of course continue to be disadvantaged. But those who are driven or daunted by the price being too high, those certainly I believe they will that number is large, and they will certainly find a pull, and that is a good thing. Now, whether services, the quality of services will improve is a larger question. We can discuss this if we have time.
Once we have that much more clarity and that many more details. But Mr. Uppal, what about the competition? I started out by telling our viewers about this entire concern about the telecom industry turning out to be a duopoly. As far as the competition is concerned, when they're looking at an announcement like this coming in from Jio, what do you expect them to do? More importantly, an Airtel over a Vodafone.
No, there is no doubt that this will give Jio a competitive advantage, but we cannot grudge them that, because clearly this is what competition or private sector participation is supposed to ensure. If everything else is okay, in other words, if there are no regulatory advantages being given or being sought or given, if there are no other evidence of anti-competitive behavior, then this is something we should expect. And this means that the pressure on both Airtel as well as Vodafone Idea will further increase, and I think the risk of consolidation of this market, the risk of movement towards a duopoly, is that much higher. Yes.
Also, as far as this phone is concerned, Mr. Uppal, we know among the details that it's going to be locked to the Jio network, which means users will need a Jio SIM in the tray to use it. I think this is going to be limiting to create an ecosystem which is just Jio-oriented.
Yeah, I think that may well be the case, and the regulators will have to look at whether they want to review this. But yes, I would imagine that Jio's price offering of $9.99 is derived from a whole lot of other things that Jio can monetize. For example, if Jio can offer its other content service, I believe Jio Cinema is included, and a few other apps, etc., and access to those apps, additional data is included. All that will mean stickiness to Jio will increase. Now, whether this will deter people from porting to other operators is something that we will have to be very careful about. If the reasons are because Jio users find it impossible to port because they have a device that they will end up having to waste the price off, because if I want to port, let us say, from Jio to Airtel, and it also is going to cost me the money that I spent on acquiring the device, which I cannot use on the other network. Now, that would be something that the regulators will need to see and consider the pros and cons of that.
We'll have to wait and watch many areas as far as the telecom industry and what Jio Bharat brings to the table now with this internet-enabled phone, which comes with a price tag of 999 rupees, essentially designed for those who have been stuck using 2G phones for the longest time, and that means reaching out to Bharat. Now, how quickly the transition happens, how much of a game changer this product is going to be, is something that we'll be watching with you, Mr. Uppal. Thank you very much for joining us. Always great to get your perspective on the telecom industry and all that's changing over there. Thanks indeed.
Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, talking about the